The first workshop in our production was Camera Workshop 1. We were shown a range of cameras such as Blackmagic, Sony FX100, 4K Mini URSA and the Sony FX7. We were told the one we would be using to shoot our thrillers was the Blackmagic because it was an all-rounder. We learned rules such as yours and mine, which meant the camera wasn't going to get dropped, as well as learning how to set the cameras up safely using the spirit level to balance it. This really helped as it meant that on our shoot day when we were filming outdoors and the ground was uneven, we were still able to shoot a balanced shot. Most importantly, because of this lesson, we all fully understood how the cameras operated, and on the shoot day it made us much more productive as well as making our roles more versatile. During the second camera workshop, we made a short film in chronological order. This was helpful for our shoot day as it meant that we now knew that when you wanted to film on a new camera angle, you filmed the whole scene on that angle in order to give you lots of footage to work with. We learnt the purpose of call-outs, which made us much more productive in the lesson and on the shoot day, also giving us all a role to play on the set. Someone always had to do the call-outs. The 180-degree rule was also very useful as it meant that on our shoot day there was no confusion about where we should shoot from in order to maintain good continuity. We then had to edit together all the footage we had shot. The editing software we used was called Adobe Premiere Pro. It was relatively easy to understand and we all had a go using it in the lesson. We learnt the golden rule, which is constantly save your work. This was especially helpful when we got round to editing our thriller, as it meant that we never had to worry that when the computer crashed we'd lose our footage. It was also important we kept all our unedited footage in a bin, as it meant that we could go back and change our work at any moment to see the unedited work. Later, when editing our thriller, we developed our skills and made new project sequences on the timeline, so that when we made progress on our edit, we didn't undo any of our hard work. Next we shot a dialogue sequence. This was a little bit harder as it meant that when we were filming we had to make sure our actors used the same inflections on every take in order to avoid continuity or sudden changes in voice. We also applied the skills we'd previously learned, such as how to set up the camera independently as well as doing handheld and tracking shots. This was really helpful as in our thrillers we used lots of handheld and tracking shots in order to convey a sense of unease, so we just applied these skills.
Okay, you ready to do this?
Maybe not today.
What? You're being ridiculous. You ain't more than I do.
I know, but what? How would you feel if someone put hair removal cream in your shampoo?
Oh God, I knew this was going to happen. Where are you going?
I just don't want to stoop to your level.
Fine.
When editing the dialogue sequence, we realised that our main problem was overlapping the footage on the timeline. Therefore, once we began editing on our thriller, we made sure to separate the footage so that it was never cut by accident. We also decided that for our thriller, we should assign certain editing roles to each member of the group so that we all got an equal chance to do something. Our next step was learning to use After Effects. Again, we filmed a dialogue sequence, but this time it involved someone being shot with a gun. We had to come up with a storyline that led to one of the characters being shot a few times. This part wasn't too hard. We had to establish the characters' roles through camera angles. For instance, we used a high angle on the woman who shot in order to make her appear weaker. We made sure not to break the 180-degree rule, as that would have made it much harder to add the muzzle flash. This benefited our final thriller as it meant that we understood all the hard work that goes into only a few seconds of a video, as well as allowing us to learn how to use the After Effects effectively. We then planned our test shoots, decided who our actors for the shoot would be, and choosing our location, which was just around the woods and school. Our location was clearly going to be different for the test shoot, but it helped us understand that we were going to need a rural area that was clearly isolated and appeared post-apocalyptic. In our test shoot, we used 5 actors, yet in our real thriller, we only used 3. This is because by cutting the actors, we could get deeper insight into each of them, as well as making it easier to manage on set. After having done the test shoot, we realised that our actors needed to be very serious and involved in the role in order to make it believable and not a joke. We decided starting the opening scene with them running was bad because it meant no tension was built. We decided to start with the man in his camp or with the girls exploring in order to start slower to then build tension and pace. The costumes the actors were wearing was their everyday clothes, and it didn't make it very clear that our thriller was set in a post-apocalyptic time. Therefore, for our final shoot, we would have the characters wearing post-apocalyptic outfits. Moreover, we would have props such as guns and knives to emphasise the heightened pressure to survive. We then had to plan costumes. All their costumes had to be muddy to portray their survival in the woods. We thought that the man could wear muddy Timberlands and a muddy denim jacket. The sniper girl will wear one leather glove to differentiate her clearly from the other girl, as well as showing her experience. We wanted both the girls to wear dark jeans or tracksuit bottoms with a similarly dark top. This is because we thought it would fit with the post-apocalyptic theme. The location we chose was Delta Force in Surrey. It already looked post-apocalyptic due to the props that were already available, and it was in the middle of the woods, which made it isolated. It was already very close to school, which made it easily accessible. We would be filming at 2 locations, inside the cabin and outside, and we chose one of the cabins dotted around as a place that the man would be living in. We didn't need that many props apart from binoculars, a gun, a blanket, some cans and a brick. We chose to make the brick ourselves out of a sponge and paint. This helped on the shoot day, as this way we could smash it over the man's head safely and effectively. We chose who our actors were based on if we thought they would be able to fully immerse themselves into the roles. We needed them to get muddy and fully commit to the violence that we needed them to act in. This affected our shoot day, as it meant that our actors were prepared for all they had to do and they were capable of doing it well. In the end, we had 2 girls, Elise and Molly, and 1 man, Mike. We exchanged emails between all of our cast members in order to tell them exactly what we need them to do. We made a storyboard, as it really helped us visualise our ideas, as well as eliminating any shots that we didn't think would be appropriate. Tia drew them because she is the best at art, and I wrote the descriptions next to them. On the shoot day, we tried to stick to the storyboard as much as possible, but it also meant that when we had extra time, we could experiment with shots and see what else might work. The shot list also helped with this.